So you're nice and strong. We went down and got food down at Willie Street, organic, pure as the driven snow. So we're going to test her on it. I love celery. You don't test with it. Oranges.
I'm not much of a fruit person.
You will be tonight. Green Zinger Fresh Juice Blend. She's even trying not to do it. She's working hard to make me look
Test my
at
latte, that's what I love.
Test my latte to see if that's good.
So the avocado, the green juice, the almonds all come out of California. University of California, Berkeley estimates that 85% of the, that's really weak, 85% of the food out in California is radioactive.
I've been making a lot of fresh guacamole lately, thinking I was doing something good.
So I helped develop these food cards, which removes the radiation from food and the toxicity from food. If any of you live in Middleton, you know that you've got at least, if you looked at the essay of the Middleton water, they do stupid stuff like that all the time. But they had 2 or 3 different radioactive isotopes in there. So I asked a patient of mine that's his business is water quality. And I asked him, I said, are these safe or is it they just don't know how to get rid of them? He said, yeah, the second one. They don't know what to do with it, so it's safe. You know, as soon as that Fukushima thing happened in California, the water supply became radioactive 180,000 times. Normal. So what the government do? They raise the level up. Instead of fixing anything, they just raised it up and said, oh yeah, that's now safe. I don't know how that works. Anyway, these things, these food cards will detoxify anything within 6 feet around. So I had these on the water pipe coming into my home, put it right on there. That detoxifies the water and cleans it up and gets rid of the chemicals and stuff. And again, everything works on frequencies. So this changes the frequency in the water to make it more beneficial for us to remove the toxins. We go out to dinner, oh good, we're going to eat radioactive food. We take this with us, put it on the table. It's like going out to eat used to be exciting when I was younger. No, you're just going to eat some crap that somebody's selling you. But this is all organic food. I mean, even this food is not working for us. So this we have on hair care products, everything we buy gets what we call carded. Vanessa's got 10 of these around all the time, put on the supplements get detoxified. People will say, you know, I was taking fish oil and I got this big rash under my arms. It's radiation toxicity. That's what it is. So I said, you getting that here? They go, no, it's 2 cents cheaper down the street. Okay. Well, that's what they're getting because of that, because they didn't detoxify their food. So I've got one food card there that's sitting on within the 6 feet to see if now the food, because it's good, should test. Nice and strong. Nice and strong. Our favorite, celery is my absolute favorite.
I like the avocado.
There, nice and strong. And this lettuce you were super weak in. There. Good. Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
So the moral of the story is you can eat organic and you're still eating crap. Now,
I see it.
everything gets carded in our house. I have one in the freezer, one in the refrigerator. You can move them around. I have one on the water supply. I have one in the bathroom. As soon as Marguerite brings the products home from the store, this through the card in the bag, or the card is right by it within 6 feet. And usually the longest period of time I've had to use it was 3 minutes. It was actually on water over at the airport. That was that bad. And we used to be relatively safe in this part of the country. Not anymore. It's coming our way, especially through the food. The rainwater comes up from the Pacific, drops on Wisconsin. Guess what? We got radioactivity. And that's where that's coming. So it's affecting people's health, and they don't know what their health problem is. They don't understand it. Go into the doctor, and they go, oh no, you got this or got this, or they put a name to it. I want to know what the cause is of it in there. So these two things are very, very important to have. But I have them all around the house. Vanessa has to detoxify. Everything that comes in here is all detoxified. And the reason why is it's good organic products, but some of it, the herbs and the fish oil comes from the ocean. And you're going to have toxicities in that. You're going to have from the herbs come from Australia. It's a very clean place, but comes here, then the government says, oh, let's defumigate it and x-ray it in case you're smuggling in terrorist stuff in there. So they x-ray it, so you've got radiation and fumigation. Just the way it is, but I've tested all the stuff and that's just the way it is. Anybody tell me what that is and don't say a leg. I'll come out there and hit you with a piece of paper. This is radiation poisoning, taken from a vitamin C supplement down the street. Guy says, why am I burning so bad all the time? I said, I don't know. He said, that must be something I'm taking. I said, well, you're not taking it from me. So I said, bring your stuff in. So I checked it. This one bottle of vitamin ester C, which is manufactured in the East, was all radioactive. And I checked and all the stuff around there where it was sitting by it was radioactive. I said, this is all radioactive too. These are okay, but this is radioactive. So it poisoned the rest of the standard processed products that he had in the box because it was so radioactive. So the moral of the story is he got it down the street and it was causing all these health problems, but his whole body looked like that leg. This is 2 days afterwards.
Is it itchy?
I just felt like he was on fire. His eyes were burning.
Okay.
And you got to catch it before it gets towards the spine because it'll start taking it out of the spine and replacing the bone. So then you got a whole new problem. And usually I find that with healthcare practitioners because they know everything already, you know?
Are you
Yes.
saying,
Go ahead.
are you saying, Joe, that had he bought that product and used a food plate?
He would have been okay. Now somebody at the other lecture asked me, so, well, can I go out and buy GMO food? Because it's so cheaper. You're driving a $100,000 car and you're asking me about that? Did somebody you raise in a glass bottle? Or what the hell are you thinking? You know?
Right, I'm just wondering about
Yeah.
the effects of the food plate.
That will take that out of there. That's why I take it.
Because you
with-
have some of those products over there that aren't organic or...
Exactly. No, it'll take all that out of there. It'll take all the toxicities to you out of there and raise the frequency level of the product to make it more effective.
Now, will that food last without the toxicities?
Will it last longer?
No. I mean,
Once it's
if you
gone, will it
take
stay
the,
gone?
if you take the card
It'll
away?
stay like this. Once it's done, it's done.
It's done?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the most I've ever had was 3 minutes on there.
How do you know that? How did you know you had to keep it on there?
I'm trained in dowsing, which I've done for 40 years. Lifetime just came out and did a movie case I took care of. That's how I found it, was through dowsing. And so I'm able to do that just like I was picking up where the negative energy line was here.
Couldn't quite
But
hear
if-
back here the fan going on.
Oh, I'm
Can
sorry.
you say how long the cards are effective for?
Once you put the food on it and it's detoxified, it's
But I mean
detoxified.
the card itself.
The card itself will be fine as long as you don't bend it and crease it and change this hologram that's in there. Because that's put in with lasers, and it's kind of like, somebody says, how does that work? Same way that you have a credit card and all your bank information is on that magnetic strip. You can't see it, can't feel it, but somebody can come by with a reader and can read all your information if they have one of those readers by your pocket. It can cause that.
I don't understand how the card then does it. Like, how does it work? How does
It
do
changes
that?
the frequency in there. We all have a certain particular frequency, just like I knew there was a frequency coming out of here. As soon as she stood there, she got weak because of that negative frequency. So these have a negative frequency and this changes that. So it's kind of hard to understand, but if I talk about credit cards and magnetic information, in fact, if you go to a hotel and they give you your room key, your room key magnetic strip has all your bank information on it. I never give it back to them. I cut it up and throw it away.
I was just gonna ask, you said to put it in the freezer and the refrigerator, the cold doesn't affect it?
Cold doesn't affect it, heat doesn't affect it. I move them around, put them in the pantries and stuff like this.
You just have one in the fridge and it'll take care of
I
the
just put it in the freezer
and
because I'm like, okay, I gotta go out and put it in the freezer and do this. I just keep one in the freezer, one in the refrigerator, one definitely on the water supply. But you can move them around, if you remember. I mean, I've got one by the stove, I'm lazy. I got one by the stove, I got one on the kitchen counter, I got one in the freezer.
If you have a refrigerator freezer, you can just put it in one or the other and it'll...
I would move it from both sides. I haven't tested that, but I would put it in for at least 3 to 6 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever on one side and then the other. You're going to detoxify all that. But Jan puts these under her dog food for the people to put it under their pet food, their water, all that sort of stuff.
Anne was telling me too, when she gets her hair colored, she holds it.
Yes, okay, yeah. Yeah, when you get hair color, that'd be the thing to do. Anything of any chemical toxicity is going to take that out. Even if you've got, if you're concerned that your carpet may be toxicity, you can put it on the carpet, and it'll help to detoxify it in there as well. And it'll do the whole carpet within 6 feet and just move it to different areas. Any type of material like that, that'll work for it.
Does it negate off-gassing then, Joe?
If you've got an atmosphere problem that's coming in, it's not going to detoxify the atmosphere itself. Yeah, it's not going to do that. We always used to have what's called the dog test in our house. The kids would say, "Well, how come we can't have bologna that's on TV and can't have chips and Ruffles and things like that?" I said, "It doesn't pass the dog test." And they're like, "What's that?" I said, "Well, let's go to the store and you pick up all the crap that you think you should have." So they went down, picked up all the bologna and all this luncheon meats and stuff, brought it home. I threw it on the floor, let the dogs in, they went, kept going. That was it. Oh, the dog test. If the dog doesn't eat it, we won't eat it. I said, exactly. And one of my kids figured out the dogs wouldn't eat broccoli, but they'd eat Cheetos. I hate smart kids. So that was a problem.
What kind of dog?
Italian Spinonis. Like the ice cream only with an end. So the ladies asked me, well, can we go out and buy GMO food? You can't polish poop. So I said to her, oh, that's right, you're saving up for the good room in the nursing home. Why would you take this information and not use it by the highest quality you can, and then use the card as well? Why go out and buy something like that? It's not the way you want to look at things. And she says, well, I tell people about this, they think I'm crazy, they can't understand it. I had a teacher once tell me, you want to tell people, pretend you're on a burning ship and it's going down, you want to knock on the door and say, hey, the ship's going down, and everybody will go, oh, thanks, and get out. But you'll run into somebody that'll say, no, it's not. Yeah, it is. Prove it. You got to make a decision at that time whether you move to the next door and save a bunch more people or spend the rest of your minutes trying to get this one idiot out. And Mark Twain always said, don't argue with stupid people. They'll bring you down to their level, and then they'll beat you with experience. You're not going to win the war. It either makes sense to somebody, common sense, or it doesn't. You can't convince them or do hula hoops or anything else. It's not going to work. Yes?
So so I have a bunch of people in my brain. Well, they're not really in my brain, but so people who have significant, maybe 4-stage cancers, are you able to energetically flip things to be able to moderate it a bit?
If somebody gets in early enough when we get started on it, number one, they don't want to quit the supplements. And a lot of times physicians will say, oh, we don't want you on those supplements. For eating food? We don't want you doing that. Oh, you'll mess up the drug study. Oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was a guinea pig. Oh, let me quit. And some people do. I can't get them back from that.
Yeah.
That's a problem. If they're spending a lot of time with all sorts of drugs, that's a problem. As soon as somebody gets a diagnosis that comes in, they can have breast tumors where they're bleeding through the nipples. 6 weeks, it's done. A lot of women get a lot of breast tumors, and I found out it's from texting. It'll go right to the mammary glands. They're texting all the time.
No wonder I don't do that.
probably 50% of the people I saw. So I'm like, hey, electronics are causing these breast cancers. Nobody paid any attention to it until I came across an article that 39% of all breast tumors are electronics. So we either got to get away from it or we got to get protection for it. Yeah. Yes?
Going back to EMFs for a minute, do grounding sheets work, do you think?
I have not really found those to be effective. There's a whole grounding, earthing theory to go out and walk on the dirt because you're going to get the same frequencies as the ground. The problem is 1960, they used to run the electricity from your house back to the substation. Now they just run it into the ground wire. So you go out and walk on the ground, you're getting all these electronic things coming up through the dirt. So I can't understand how they even imagine that would work. So they have a lot of devices that do that, and some of them are mild to moderate to not at all in there. But they say, well, if you have that problem, go walk on the concrete in your basement if you can't get out to the ground. Talk to any farmer that's had stray electricity problems. The electricity doesn't go up the pole, it shoots to their farm to find the wet concrete so it could shock the cows and the horses and everything. You know? Yes, Barb.
What about like if you're planting your own garden and you're in the city, definitely, you've got electricity around you.
Yes.
Is there something?
That's a problem. There's a friend of mine who, his name is Joey Korn, Korn, and he's done a lot of work with what's called spiritual dowsing, and he's very effective at what he does. And his book would be a good read. He'll teach you how to clear out your spaces and things using what he calls blessings. And you'll change that garden. It'll start growing like no
Mine
tomorrow.
doesn't grow for crap. My son-in-law's does.
Yes.
He must put a lot of spiritual stuff into this.
Well, if you bless that garden the way Joey describes, you'll be able to change and move energies around your property. Yeah.
What's the name of his book?
Spiritual dowsing.
How do you spell dowsing?
Dowsing. He's from Georgia. I brought him up here. Had about 20 people at the seminar, and they all said it was one of the best seminars they've ever been to. It was 2 days, and he's just as common as dirt guy from Georgia, but he's mastered what he's done for over 40 years. So he knows the stuff and how to do it, and you'd be amazed at how you can change your garden. But you can negate these negative energy lines that come in, and once you do that, you'll feel the atmosphere change. It'll just like somebody fresh in the air.